Self-doubt can creep in like a shadow, quiet but persistent. One moment you're riding high on confidence, and the next you're questioning if you were ever good enough to begin with. That fear of not being good enough, of being seen as an imposter, can be paralyzing. I know this struggle firsthand. When I first started as a photographer, I was confident. People told me how much they loved my photos, and that validation fueled me. But as I improved, something unexpected happened. My own expectations grew faster than my skills. I began to notice flaws in my work that I never saw before. The compliments didn't hit the same way anymore. Instead of pushing forward, I started doubting myself. If I wasn't getting praise, did that mean my work wasn't good? Did that mean I wasn't good? This is the trap of external validation. Praise feels great. It's a high that tells us we're on the right track. But when we rely on it too much, we give other people power over our confidence. When the praise stops or isn't as frequent, we start to question our worth. And that's dangerous because it can lead to hesitation, perfectionism, and even quitting altogether. And hey, I'll be honest, I still struggle with this from time to time. I'd love to say I've completely overcome self-doubt and no longer care what people think, but that wouldn't be true. The difference now is that I recognize it for what it is. I no longer let the lack of praise define my worth. And I've learned to separate external approval from my own internal progress. But that doesn't mean the battle is over. It's something I have to be mindful of, just like anyone else. Psychologists have studied this extensively. Research shows that external praise, when overemphasized, can actually lower motivation. The over-justification effect, a concept explored by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, suggests that when we become too dependent on external rewards, our intrinsic motivation weakens. What once felt like passion can start to feel like an obligation, making us more likely to lose interest or give up when validation isn't there. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset further highlights this issue. Her studies found that individuals praised for their intelligence or talent often became afraid of failure, leading them to avoid challenges that could help them grow. On the other hand, those praised for their effort tend to develop resilience, pushing forward even when things get tough. This is because they tie their sense of worth to the process, not just the outcome. So, how do we break free from this? First, recognize the difference between approval and actual progress. Just because someone praises you doesn't mean you've reached your full potential, and just because someone doesn't praise you doesn't mean you're failing. The work itself is what matters. Second, create a system of internal validation. Instead of waiting for someone to tell you you're doing great, set your own milestones. Define success on your own terms. Maybe that means finishing a project, learning a new skill, or simply putting yourself out there despite the fear. And finally, get comfortable with discomfort. Self-doubt will always be there in some form. The key isn't to eliminate it, but to act anyway. When you stop seeking permission to be great, you give yourself the space to grow. So the next time you catch yourself hesitating because you're afraid of what people will think, or because the applause isn't as loud, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this for them, or am I doing this for me? Now go make something happen.